This is climate expert Dr. Heidi Cullen of the Weather Channel, where we are dedicated to helping you understand the facts about climate change. Our wetlands play a critical role in the health of Earth's ecosystems, and they are in danger. That's why the Weather Channel is proud to present this important film.
For thousands of years, each spring, the Mississippi River overflowed its banks as it neared the sea. Muddy water left layer upon layer of soil. Plants took root. 300 years ago, French traders founded a city on a site sheltered from deadly hurricanes by 1,000 square miles of protective wetlands. New Orleans, queen of the river, rose to the challenge of its soggy location to become the city whose character and soul is unique in the world. With music as its beating heart, New Orleans stood ready to shake your blues, rock your soul, or jazz up your romance. Louis Armstrong trumpeted a brand new kind of music to the world: jazz. Time and again, New Orleans has been ravaged by flood and fire. Each time, the city danced back to the beat of its musicians.
I'm walking, here's the day, and I'm talking. By you and me, I'm hoping that you come back to me.
Musicians like 14-year-old fiddle prodigy Amanda Shaw, here with her mom and her mentor, accordionist Chubby Carrier.
When I was 4, I began playing the violin. And when I was 9, Chubby helped me record my first album. I have a little brother, but Chubby's been like having a big brother too. At the piano is Alan Toussaint, the famous New Orleans music producer. We're joining with other musicians to get the word out about one of America's biggest environmental problems: the vanishing of our wetlands.
Now we got it, yeah.
Okay, we're ready. Let's have it. Louisiana.
Tab Benoit is the blues man in our group. Tab's a Cajun who actually lives in the wetlands.
Louisiana.
He's already devoted several albums to saving them.
I can't stand another day watching her wash away.
Have you ever loved a place so much that you dedicate your life to saving it? You know, I believe that my highest calling is to be the steward of my environment. My first job was as a pilot. From up here, the awful truth hits you. These wetlands are disappearing right before our eyes. That island there, that used to be a sugar plantation a mile wide. Erosion caused by wind and waves has reduced it to just a sliver. Growing up here, I hardly noticed the erosion. But over the years, we had to keep moving our rope swings back as the whole woods washed away. The wetlands we've lost just since my parents were born is bigger than the whole state of Delaware. You see, coastal erosion in Louisiana picks everybody's pocket. Each bite of seafood that seems overpriced, well, that's because the wetland spawning grounds are gone. Well, basically what went wrong is that in the 1930s, well-meaning engineers built levees, or walls, so to speak, along the banks of the Mississippi River to protect the farms from yearly floods. Those annual floods deposited the soil that built the wetlands. Now, with those levees, that soil gets flushed straight down into the ocean. All that brown in the ocean is soil. Soil that could be rebuilt in the wetlands the way it used to before we interfered with Mother Nature. We also made a mistake by digging canals for boat navigation. These canals brought in salt water from the ocean, killing the marsh grass and the trees. This whole farce is now dead. Without the tree roots, erosion speeds up. Maybe Amanda's generation can do better.
They're pictures of the wetlands. This one has more land. See how there's so much more land in this one, and this one was in 1945. My grandpa is helping me with my science project. That means our wetlands are disappearing.
And you suggest something to do to preserve the land?
Yeah, there's lots of But I wanted to know what impact hurricanes had before much of the wetlands had washed away.
And the water was already over the road.
So I visited Tab's friend, Leslie Griffith, who went through a hurricane 50 years ago.
The story that I remember for Hurricane Audrey is like a picture show in my mind.
Leslie, wake up! Leslie, wake up! We have to get
The house just collapsed. I can still picture Mother grabbing on to that tree and holding on. About that time, I was kind of looking down, and my grandfather just kind of slumped over for a minute, you know? And all of a sudden, he just let it go. He had a heart attack and let it go. That was my first experience with death.
I can't even imagine losing my grandpa that way.
Hurricane Audrey, like all hurricanes, formed out over the ocean, where warm seawater provides the fuel that powers the storm. When a hurricane moves over land, it begins to die without its warm ocean water fuel. So even the low-lying wetlands that surround New Orleans act like a speed bump. Every 3 miles of wetlands reduces the height of a hurricane storm surge by 1 foot. Hurricane Audrey was bad, but it would have hit far stronger if it came today because of all the protection we've lost in the last 50 years.
You're doing it good. Hey, Tab. How y'all doing? Looking for that porch sound, man. Oh, yeah, let's roll it. Yeah, man. That's the whole guitar from the 40s. I got to roll with it. Well, let's do it like let's do it. My baby got the fire. Oh, yeah. I got the roof. My baby got the fire. Get that leg working, bro. I got the roof.
You know, Cajuns are famous for good music, good food, and good time. We tell good stories, too, about hurricanes.
If you'd be on a little shrimp boat, 3 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, the waves were high, the winds were high. Oh, look out.
Man, anybody with an alligator as a pet.
Stop it. No. No, no.
And you know he can spin a tail.
You got to talk there.
I knew Tab would eventually tell me what I needed for my report, so this kind of counted as homework.
Got the fever for the bayou, muddy water take me home. Got the fever for the bayou, muddy water take me home. I guess I'm on a mountain, but I know where I belong. Down the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. Down the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. And where I find my Cajun baby, and I dance as I go. Won't you take me to the Mardi Gras, just south of New Orleans? Take me down to the Mardi Gras, just south of New Orleans. Or to the Louisiana Bayou, that's a Cajun man's dream. Hey,
Now, this is a floton, a floating marsh. A bull gator's mating roar is so deep that you feel it, even more than you hear it. A gator has 1.5 tons of force when he chomps down. The strongest bite in the animal world. See the alligator nest? Look at her. She's protecting 50 or 60 eggs by laying on her nest. And when I was young, alligators were an endangered species. I hardly ever saw one down here.
With my best friend Jim, and here I am, trying to steal you away from him. Oh, but if I don't do it, you know somebody else will.
But laws and good stewardship of their habitat turn that around. Now they're plentiful.
Clean this part here, and you clean that right here. Okay.
Let's make the alligators listen. Maybe they'll be dancing back behind us over here. You ready?
Now, mama, can't you hear me cry? Mama, won't you come and see? Gonna break through my eggshell. Take this nest off of me. Get this nest off of me. Now, mama, can't you hear me cry? Mama, don't worry about me. I'm a big old boy. Big boy, can't you see? I'm a big boy, can't you see?
But
You got it.
But you're my little baby. I do worry too. Worry is one of the things that mamas do. I understood what Tap wanted me to learn. Just as we saved the gators, we can save these wetlands. Our natural speed bump for hurricanes. All you hungry creatures, leave my baby alone. He's just a little itty bitty, even though he thinks he's grown. Even though he thinks he's grown.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I couldn't help think, what'll happen if the big one comes before we're ready?
In summer, hot winds whip across Africa's Sahara Desert into the Atlantic Ocean. These winds ignite with ocean heat, sending warm, moist air up towards the colder atmosphere. The Earth's rotation gives these winds a twist.
In August, people prepared for a hurricane called Katrina as she headed towards Florida. And in New Orleans, music producer Alan Toussaint continued writing songs.
Hurricane Katrina is now moving across Florida, weakening as it passes over the Everglades. When it enters the Gulf of Mexico,
As Katrina moved back over open water, the storm drew new strength from an abnormally warm stream of water called the loop current. Now this year, the loop current was 2 degrees warmer than normal. And with much of its wetlands buffer washed away, New Orleans was considerably more vulnerable than it had been earlier in its history.
Let's take a look now at where Hurricane Katrina is at this very moment.
Katrina is 2 days away, but getting stronger.
The storm is huge.
It's a deadly Category 5 hurricane.
And it's heading right towards New Orleans.
Sunday morning, with 24 hours to go, authorities called for the complete evacuation of New Orleans, a first for the city.
you go.
And at the city's aquarium, the staff dealt with its own evacuation problems.
All right, come on now. Go. Keep coming.
We watched the news, got scared, and evacuated. All of us, including 2 dogs, 8 cats, and my little brother. We couldn't reach my grandparents, and because of the traffic and road closures, we couldn't go look for them.
And the storm continues to strengthen.
We will not be sticking around here. It's too dangerous.
By Sunday night, Katrina had grown into one of the widest hurricanes of its strength ever recorded. 200 miles wide.
Sunday night found Tab Benoit on tour, far away from home.
If I seem a little emotional tonight or a little distant, it's because, you know, my heart's back in Louisiana right now, where a hurricane that's coming down on us as a Category 4. It's heading right for my house, so I'm a little worried about that. But I like to play a little music to get me through it, so y'all help me out here.
My Sally, she has left me for good. After I gave her my love for so long, she's out there with somebody new. And I just can't sit here alone no more. But it's so hard to drive with these tears in my eyes, and it takes a long time to get to Baton Rouge. And all I want is to hear, Lord, somebody sing my song. Hey, when a Cajun man gets the blues.
Communication went dead. With no help on the way, people rescued each other.
My dad still couldn't get through to my grandparents on the phone.
Levees hold. These levees are literally the line between life and death for many of New Orleans trapped residents.
I stayed up all night, worried about Grandpa and Grandma.
of life is raging. Stand by me. When this world is tossing me, like a ship out on a sea. Lord, you rule the winds and the water. Stand by me, Lord.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
The eye of Hurricane Katrina missed New Orleans.
Nobody knows.
But without enough wetlands to absorb it, the massive storm surge tore through the flood walls.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
The city began to fill with water.
Glory, hallelujah. Nobody knows when I'm feeling mighty low. Nobody knows.
Electricity went out. Communications broke down.
Nobody knows the trouble I see.
Most residents had evacuated, but tens of thousands who remained were trapped by rising water.
Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. Sometimes I'm almost to the ground.
In the middle of the worst flood in American history,
Yes,
uncontrolled fires became a major problem.
As Katrina moved inland, it left behind the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history. Alan and Chubby were safe, but Amanda Shaw returned from evacuation to find her world turned upside down.
I'm gonna have to figure out, like, where am I gonna go to school? Because my school was on the levee that broke, and it's gone. It completely flooded out. My heart just fell. I didn't realize that it was gonna be as bad as it was. Our house was wiped out by falling trees. My grandparents did not evacuate, and when the levee broke, they were trapped. We don't know if they got saved or not. This whole time has been really, really tough because I'm really close to my grandparents. We all are, and it's just...
I was born by the river.
Bit by bit, too late for some, a massive rescue was mobilized.
Oh, and just like the river I've been running ever since. Oh, it's been a long time coming.
Thousands of people were airlifted to safety.
Change gonna come.
Most saved nothing but the clothes they were wearing.
It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. Oh, it's been a long time.
The levee breaks were repaired so that the city could slowly be pumped dry.
Change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
I was on a roof for 3 days, me and my children. It was just horrible on the roof. The snakes that came on the roof, and one of my daughters just said, this all we have, and this where we was gonna have to survive at was the roof, and they couldn't have our roof. So she actually fought the snakes off.
The flood victims suffered emotional devastation that will take years to heal.
One of my daughters is an expert swimmer, and right now it's like she petrified of water, but she won't even take a bath by herself.
I'm walking slow with a weary mind.
It took 2 weeks before I could find out what happened to my house on the bayou.
I'm falling behind. You got me where you want me. Still I keep on trying to see through the darkness.
I'd always said, I wish something would come along to wake up the world about the importance of our wetlands. Careful what you wish for.
My grandparents' house was flooded under 8 feet of water.
We don't have no food, we have no water, we have nothing.
They were stranded and terrified.
We have 2 ways, stay here and die here, or get out from here.
Finally, they got rescued off their roof by regular people, good Samaritans with their own boat, helping anybody they could.
Oh my God, we think this is like angels coming to see us.
A month after his rescue, we met my grandpa at what was left of his house.
Hey, Amanda, how you doing?
The one good part of this big, awful disaster is that it reminds me how precious my family is.
From the air, I can see where Katrina washed away islands that were there when I was a kid. And scientists have told me that thousands of baby birds and their rookeries have been totally wiped out. The storm washed away another 100 square miles of soil. We should have been ready. We weren't ready in New Orleans, and we weren't ready down here. But we can do better. We already know how. We'll have to plant thousands of acres of mangrove and other soil-retaining plants. In some places, it'll take stone walls. In other spots, rebuilding with sand, sometimes again and again. And most importantly, engineers can use floodgates, like this one, and special pipelines and other innovative solutions to allow the muddy Mississippi to once more naturally replenish the wetlands. And as the huge cost of Katrina shows us, good stewardship of the environment is good economics too.
I asked Tab if we could go check on a friend. Oh, but I only see one baby. Is that all there is?
Nature can be cruel. We sure saw that. But she can be generous too. One baby left, and so renewal begins.
Rebuilding New Orleans will take hard work and imagination, but it is possible. It will demand sacrifices. Some longtime residents must move to higher ground.
Very hard, very, very hard to see your house go so fast. Raised my 2 kids here. I have 2 grandkids now. Now I've got to make a new life and start over.
This is Martha Wright, Queen of Gospel.
So many trials, seem like more than I could bear.
What began months ago as a musical effort to save the wetlands now has a new meaning to Chubby and me. Now our message isn't just about saving, it's about rebuilding.
We musicians are bound and determined to do our part with our melodies, our voices, and with our hearts.
No, we can make it. Oh, yes, we can. Show us the way, Lord. We're in your hands. Thunder and lightning. Don't hope to be found. Let it broken. We're in your hands. Keep on moving. I know we can make it. You're in your hands. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Thunder, lightning. No help. Let it broken. Gotta keep on moving to higher ground. Gotta keep on making. You're in your hands. God's good. Oh, hey, yeah.
We all must be stewards of the places we love so much. Only then will our grandchildren and their grandchildren continue to cook the feast, tell the tales, and sing the songs about magical places where land and water live as one.
When I get to heaven, probably shed a tear, 'cause I know it could never be as sweet as what I have right here. This is my oh, this is my
home.